Live from CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington, D.C. This is a very special edition of the Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. And, of course, now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Pelosi Country, Northern California. Also, we are rebroadcast. Check us out at our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. I'm your host right now with, I'm Sharron Engel, and I'm here with a face that we've not forgotten, a conservative face that has helped us many times in this nation renew our faith in the Founding Fathers even. And I want to introduce you all to, of course, Governor Scott Walker. Welcome to Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Sharron. What an exciting time here at CPAC, particularly seeing all these amazing young conservatives here. Pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And now you're working with young conservatives, isn't that right?
That's right. I'm the president-elect of Young America's Foundation, YAF, and amongst other things, they have chapters on 500 campuses across the nation. They bring in extraordinary speakers like Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, even blasts from the past like Art Laffer. But one of the really cool things that ties into California is we own and operate the Reagan Ranch, the ranch just outside of Santa Barbara where President and Mrs. Reagan spent a good chunk of their time as president and brought in world leaders like Gorbachev, Margaret Thatcher, even the Queen of England made it to the Reagan Ranch. And it's a great tool for us to teach young people about the freedom and frugality that President Reagan fought for.
These are principles that we think are almost lost because of our school system. Talk a little bit about how you are interacting or intersecting with what's coming out of public schools.
Well, we're trying to do it at all levels, certainly on our college campuses with the chapters. I'd love to see a chapter on every campus, not just 4-year but 2-year. We've gone into high schools with conferences across the nation and at the ranch, but I'd love to go even into junior high and start with preteens. I was just a 12-year-old when Ronald Reagan was running for president in 1980. I know what a difference he made in my life and my view not only of being a Republican and a conservative, but fundamentally being an optimist. And I think we need to renew that kind of optimism. Point out, as I did the other day, I was at Stanford University, of all places, on Tuesday night, speaking about the difference between socialism and freedom. And I said, we're the happy warriors like Reagan. We got a great story. We love our fellow citizen. We love people regardless of age, sex, race, you name it, ethnicity. We want every American to do well, but we understand the best way to do that is not with more government, it's with less government, it's with freedom versus socialism.
It is, and it's also a part of our heritage to be faithful. Talk to us a little bit about your faith and how that impacts your decisions going forward, your decisions in the past.
Well, absolutely. I think I shocked a few people years ago at the first presidential debate because then Megyn Kelly, then an announcer or anchor for Fox, asked me that question and how that would affect decisions. And I said, well, first of all, I'm a sinner. It's only by the blood of Jesus Christ that I'm saved. And frankly, there is no other person without sin that I know of other than Christ. And he hasn't been around on earth at least for the last few thousand years. But that has an impact because, one, just that humility of trying to follow God's calling every day. Now, I said, the last time God gave us a clear list was up on Mount Sinai. And so what the best that we have for day-to-day directions are from God's Word and trying to apply it to our lives. But he doesn't send us a daily email saying, here's how to vote or what to do. We needed to make the best decisions. And so I try to do things that are all about serving God, they're about servant leadership. And ultimately, I think it's a very biblical concept to say we want to empower people to control their own lives. God gave us free choice, and to the extent that we can do that for our fellow citizens, the better off we can be.
Well, and our founding fathers were pretty careful to say that we had a government that was completely inadequate to govern any but a moral and religious people. So how do you put that concept into a younger generation who is basically moving away from God?
Well, really quite extraordinarily important. I remember years ago talking to someone I'd met on a trade mission in China, And he made an interesting observation, I thought, at the time. He talked about how he observed the United States and felt like the reason we were able to have a society based on laws where people upheld the law, even without a military that was targeted towards its own citizens, even without broad police state powers, was because of our Judeo-Christian ethics, that we were built to follow the law, to follow the rules. Obviously, there are some exceptions, but as a whole in this nation, that's what, I mean, many of our founders, and you think of William Penn, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania named after many others like him, John Williams and others, who came to America to escape religious persecution. It was so fundamentally important. From Washington, Jefferson, I get a kick out of kids watching Hamilton, the musical, because all those founders that they find hip in that musical, I think are just as hip today as they were at the time, because they understood to live in a just society, you had to have rules, and it starts with a commitment to those Judeo-Christian principles upon which this nation was formed.
That's right. And when we run for office, I, as a Christian conservative, have run for office, of course, you did. And one of the first things they say to you is, well, you're just too nice a person to be running. You can't get into that dog-eat-dog world and really fight it out.
Well, I mean, in the end, again, the Bible's filled with examples. Even Stephen being about to be stoned, God gave him words and courage. You think of Peter in front of the masses, a simple fisherman upon which became the rock of the church. You think of all these examples, people who were far from perfect, quite imperfect to be exact. Even King David, upon which, the city of David, I was just talking about Israel and going to the city of David archaeological dig. All of us were flawed along the way, but it's just so important to think about those principles. But to your point, you can be nice. I mean, I think Ronald Reagan was extraordinarily nice. Maybe it came not just from California, but from his Midwestern roots as a child. You can be nice and still be firm. We can be decent and still be determined. We can have a core set of principles and still respect others' point of view. And that's something I think increasingly has been lost by many in this era of social media and by some of the more dramatic cable news shows.
In 2016, you were a warrior. You'd already proven yourself as a warrior governor, and I don't think that anyone said Scott Walker's a soft guy. And talk a little bit about how they came after you and just that whole political scenario for the good guy that was the governor.
Yeah, it really was amazing. The Occupy movement didn't start on Wall Street. It started on my street, Madison, Wisconsin. They not only had political protests, 100,000 protesters occupied our Capitol with some of the worst, most egregious signs you can imagine, but death threats against not just me, but against my family, my kids, my colleagues in the legislature were allies of mine. But we were just unintimidated. In fact, the book I wrote was called Unintimidated. It wasn't about me personally. It was about what we did together and how we withstood those challenges. But you'll appreciate this. One of the best things that happened, though, was getting out of the Capitol, finding our way, even in the midst of the protest around the state of Wisconsin, and listening to people. And oftentimes the greatest help to me, and these were God's chosen angels, where people would come up to me, sometimes in the most odd of circumstances, and reach out and tell me they were praying for me. And over the years, what I found, I told Paul Ryan years ago when he was running for vice president, I told Mike Pence, both of whom are good friends when they were running for president, I said, reach out and touch people when they tell you that. Because just like Christ could feel the woman touching his cloak, the woman who had been ill for 12 years, reached out to touch his cloak, and Christ could feel her presence. You can feel the presence. Those prayers made all the difference in the world.
It does make all the difference in the world, and that's the first thing I set up when I go on a campaign is, do I have a prayer team? Do I have people there that are willing to lift me before the throne of God and just pray for His guidance and His will in that campaign? Now, we watched that campaign for president, and something happened. Talk about what that was, because I know it happened certainly in 2010 for me when I came to Washington. I had a little conversation with Mitch McConnell, and his words to me were, I know Harry Reid, I can work with Harry Reid, I understand Harry Reid, which was basically, I don't get you, girl.
Well, and in the end, it was interesting. In 2016, we got in the race like we did every other race we'd gotten in actually in 15, which was praying about and just trying to decipher God's will. Certainly God intended for me to run in 10 and to win again in 12 and 14. We felt a calling to run for president, but over time we realized, and I saw even in that second debate out the Reagan Ranch, I was third in the polls I think at the time, and in 3 hours on a CNN debate I got 2 questions. It was clear the media attention was directed at this president, who I think since then, I would tell you candidly, I have been pleasantly surprised as to how effective this president has been. I didn't exactly expect it at the time, but it's been another one of those blessings. But after that debate, like I said, when I only got a limited amount of time, I just realized that, it wasn't our time. My wife and I visited a church, Antioch Christian Church in Iowa, along the eastern edge of Iowa. After we listened to the sermon that Sunday, both of us looked at each other and said, "Did you hear what I heard?" And we both heard the same thing, which was God's calling for us to get out and the way in which to do it. And we've never regretted it. Even though, some people say, "Oh, you could do this better." I just had a gentleman moments before this interview say, "I was a big fan of yours. You could have done this. You could have done that." I said, "It's all true, but in the end, God had already preordained that Donald Trump was going to be not only the nominee but the president." And God's always right. It's got a better plan than we do, and usually a better sense of humor.
Absolutely correct, and that's I guess one of the things that we as conservatives don't really understand about the other side, and I mean really the other side. They seem to have lost all sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have some, Reagan was so great at that, self-deprecating along the way. Having a lot of fun. One of the best lines I still remember is when Walter Mondale tried to make his age a factor, at the time far younger than Bernie and Biden and others are now, and his quip, of course, back was, "I'm not going to let your youth and inexperience be a liability." But you got to have some fun, and I think not just with the races, but life in general. God calls us to be servants of His, to be obedient. But part of that obedience is enjoying life. God's made a beautiful place for us to live on. We've got wonderful people around us. It's one of the great joys of coming to events like this is both people I've known over the years, seeing some longtime friends, and just meeting some new friends, particularly amongst these young people. It's a beautiful place. And I think ultimately that's one of the things, as not only as Christians, but as conservatives, we need to get the message out about that. We love people. We love our fellow citizen. We love our neighbor. We want to treat them just like we want them to treat us. We love our God as well. But part of that needs to come out that we're the ones, because we love people so much, we want to give them the power and the tools to control their own life, determine their own destiny. And we think that's much better for them than anything the government can give in most instances.
And now you're working with this great organization, Young Americans, talk about that.
Yeah, Young Americans Foundation, YAF. William F. Buckley started it, but Reagan was one of the first national chairs. In fact, the Reagan Ranch is a part of this organization out in Santa Barbara in the mountains, and it's just like he left it. It's unbelievable. And I say it's a good taste of the freedom and frugality that Reagan fought for. The freedom of the wide open space, how he loved the ranch, because he literally cut and put in place all the fence posts and the whole bit throughout the ranch. Big, massive space overlooking the ocean and the valley on either side. But the ranch house itself was very small. And to me, that was the frugality of a man who grew up during the Depression in the middle of the country without very much of anything. And he wasn't going to waste it, just like he didn't want to waste the resources of the American hardworking people.
So these young men and women, you take them to the ranch. Is that how does it
It's a combination of things. So it's on campus. It brings speakers in like Shapiro and Michael Knowles and all these other great folks. But it's also part of it is we use a center in downtown Santa Barbara called the Reagan Ranch Center, where young people both in college and high school come in. They hear from all sorts of great speakers on the conservative spectrum. And then we bring them at least one day out of the week up to the ranch to really appreciate the wonder of President Reagan. And then we do other conferences. We were just in Tennessee. We're in Washington often. My goal going forward is replacing Ron Robinson, who's just been fabulous as the president. Great team, great board, great alumni I was with yesterday. But we got to reach more. At a time when socialism's on the rise on our college campuses, I believe that's just because we are at such a disadvantage when it comes to getting the message out, that to the extent that we can heighten that awareness, we win. The truth is on our side. We can win this battle. We just got to double down on getting that message out in college, in high school, even in the preteens.
So, how do we reach the kids?
Yeah.
How do we help you reach the kids? We don't even know if there's any young Americans listening to our show. You know, we sometimes feel like we're kind of bound up in an older generation. So how do we get there, and then how do those guys get connected to you? How do those young Americans get?
Well, one of the great things, so if people go to yaf.org, so yaf.org, we can connect them, find out in any given area where people are listening in now. If you want to get connected to us, check out the website, get connected to our team. We can plug people in the campus chapters, we can plug people in the speakers. A lot of folks, well, we tell folks, I was on campus, I mentioned the other day at Stanford. There was an auditorium full of young people, which is great. There were 25,000 people watching somewhere, at home, at work, wherever they might be watching. And what we've seen with speakers like Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, and others, last few years, we've had 27 million views on YouTube of our speeches on campus, our Conservatives on Campus series. And so we need to do more of that. For those, if you're listening, if you got a son or a daughter, grandson, granddaughter, niece, nephew, neighbor, kid, whoever it might be, check out YAF as well. Encourage them to go to one of our programs, go to the ranch, go to the center. We got great programs with remarkable speakers. And one of the neat things, since they announced I was president-elect, was hearing from so many people across America who told me their first real experience with conservative politics was through YAF, through a conference, through a time at the ranch, through a speech, whatever it might be. My goal is to not stop that, but rather to make that available to every young person in America. Because again, I am so much a believer in the truth of our arguments, of our beliefs, of our core beliefs. I just figure exposure will lead to success. Right now, the biggest reason why we're not winning over more young people is they're just not hearing the truth, and you can help us do this. The other thing I tell people is we often speak and think from our head. The left speaks and talks from their heart. Don't concede your logic, but talk from the heart. Share a message. Somebody might be watching, a small business owner. Go talk to young people about what it took to start your company. A lot of people think companies are just floating out there in the abyss. Corporations came from nowhere, that they're evil. They don't realize that every business out there, big and small alike, started with someone with some idea. I think a lot of young people really want to be entrepreneurs. They don't like the word capitalism, but they like entrepreneurship. You and I know that's the same thing. In fact, if anything, entrepreneurship is more pure because it's not filled with bias and tax credits or anything else out there. It's just pure innovation, ideas, and hard work. And young people want that, I think.
They do. They want that American dream just the same as we wanted it, as we still want it, and as we want it for them. And that's why we want to reach into them. Do you reach into just college campuses, or how about high school campuses?
We've gone to high schools. There's high school conferences. There's even conferences at the ranch for high school kids. One of the things I'd like to do in the future is even get into preteens. Even if it's not at a conference, but even digital advertising and other ways. I was 12 when Reagan first ran for president. He had such an influence on me. I think on my nieces, my youngest nieces, 13, just turned 13, was 12. I think about the impact that digital advertising and communications have on her and her somewhat older sister. I want to have that same impact when it comes to our big, bold ideas that we know work. We've seen them work. Socialism doesn't work anywhere in the world. We know that freedom and free enterprise work for sure. We just got to get that message out.
Scott Walker, you're still a hero to me. And I want you to tell our audience how they can get Young America's Foundation to their community, to their high school, to their college campus, how they can get their young person, their granddaughter, their daughter, their niece, their nephew, how can they get them involved with Young America's Foundation?
Awesome. Just go to yaf.org. we've got people, even before I'm on there full time, we've got people who will connect with you, whether it's to get that person to a conference, a trip to the ranch, helping them organize, might even be on their high school campus or a college campus, helping them organize a chapter if there isn't one and plugging them into one where there is. We can make a difference, but it's going to happen not through $1 million ad buys, but through person-to-person contact, and every one of you viewers can help make it happen.
Thank you so much, Scott Walker, warrior for America and for patriotism. I think you have a little saying about what day we should celebrate.
I do. Somebody was just kidding me about that. I said, in America, we celebrate the 4th of July and not April 15th, because in America, we celebrate our independence from the government, not our dependence on it. God bless.
God bless you, too. Thank you so much for being here with us on Conservative Commandos Radio Show. And thank you for joining us with Conservative Commandos Radio Show, also with the AUN TV network, and of course, going to our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. We are here at CPAC. I'm Sharron Angle, and I'm with all of our co-hosts here at the show, and we will be back right after these messages. Don't go away.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline Refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline Refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty?
We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear! The debt suckers are here!
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith. We're here at CPAC. As you might tell from the background noise, it's not because of a defect in our equipment, but there's just tons of people here. This is the Super Bowl of conservatism. We're really pleased and happy to have with us Carrie Severino. She is the not just the president of the Judicial Crisis Network, but the author of a great book, one that is sitting on the corner of my desk because I am in the process of reading it. So whenever I have a moment, I flip it open, and it's a good read. So with that, Carrie, welcome to Conservative Commandos.
Thanks so much for having me.
We are really excited to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about what you do at the Judicial Crisis Network, and then we'll jump into your book.
Yeah, we were founded in 2005 really because of some of the things that you see in Justice on Trial with Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation. You can't just sit back and hope that a conservative, a originalist, textualist nominee is going to just have a smooth sailing, right? We've learned there's going to be serious attacks against anyone who is going to bring principles to the Supreme Court. And so we realized there has to be a group whose sole job is to make sure that constitutionalist judges have the air support they need to get confirmed. And so we have been there fighting for judges, good judges, to be confirmed for 15 years now, but there's never been a more exciting time than right now to be in this line of work, because it has just been 3 years so far of nonstop knocking it out of the park successes on judges, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and now more than 50 circuit court judges, almost 200 judges all told that President Trump has had confirmed just in his first 3 years.
Well, I remember the Ninth Circuit. I was writing an article on judicial activism, and I was using the Ninth Circuit as a case study. And a judge, he had been involved in 5 decisions that were being appealed to the Supreme Court. So he had 45 opportunities, because 5 decisions times 9 justices, 45 chances to get somebody to say, I think he's right. Guess what? He was 0 for 45. He couldn't get a single left-wing radical kook judge in the Supreme Court to even cite him. That's how bad it used to be. And now even the Ninth Circuit has been remade. There's still some kooks on it, but it's not the way it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be just notorious, and it was always the one that was most commonly overturned by the Supreme Court, because they just got it wrong a lot, because they were doing politics, they weren't doing judging. When Trump took office, there was an 11-judge differential between the Democrat appointees and the Republican appointees, and frankly, not all the Republican appointees were super conservative, right? He has had such an amazing opportunity. Now he's gotten that down to a 3-judge difference. A lot of us never thought we'd see in our lifetime a 50-50 even on the Ninth Circuit, and it's already having impact where you've seen decisions. There's a recent one that had to do with funding of Planned Parenthood and other groups that do abortion. Normally that's the kind of thing that you don't even have to hear what the legal argument is. You just know, obviously everybody there's a political valence. We know where it's going in the Ninth Circuit. Not so. You had a panel and then even an en banc panel of the whole court that upheld a Trump regulation. And this is a new day for the Ninth Circuit, and it's not just there, it's happening across the country.
One of the things I think is very important is in politics, you talk about conservatives versus liberals. It actually means something different when we talk about judges, because judges aren't there. A conservative judge, I think it was Scalia who said, if you're a conservative judge, you won't like all of your opinions. And what he meant by that was, you will sometimes uphold a law that you disagree with personally, but you don't think is unconstitutional, because the Constitution doesn't protect you from foolishness. It's very specific. And so when we talk about conservative judges, we don't actually mean that they're going to impose conservative outcomes the way a liberal judge will impose liberal outcomes. What we really mean is they're just going to be true and faithful to the text of the Constitution or the statute, if depending on if it's a statutory or constitutional issue. And that's why that's why I have friends who are not conservatives, but like Trump's judges, because they don't actually want the bench to legislate. They'd prefer to have their congressman do that.
I think that's what most Americans really do want, and they're legitimately doing it. I talked to a Trump appointee recently who was actually complaining, saying that's the most frustrating part of the job is you've got laws that are either they really are out of date or they were poorly written in the first place. We know our Congress, the sausage doesn't always get made well, or it's policy that he thinks is wrong-headed. But as a judge, your job is to enforce that law, like read the text of the law, and that's good because it means Congress, which would rather get out of having to do the hard work of rewriting the laws or getting them right in the first place, it means, you know what, guys, it's back on your plate. You have to do it, and that means all of us Americans get to have our own elected representatives held to account. And then if they screw it up, we can throw the bums out. And you can't throw the bums out if it's the judges who are rewriting your laws.
Exactly. We fought a revolution over the idea that an unelected individual could govern and rule over us. It happened to be just one at that point, King George. Now, there are people who seem to be prepared to essentially accept that we'll just expand it to 9, or a majority of 9, so 5. 5 people who are unelected have lifetime appointment, just like the king did. The king had a lifetime appointment. That they get to govern us. And I feel like that's not really what George Washington was fighting for, but it's kind of, so I think you're exactly right. This matters, and if you look, the left has won most of its big victories in the last couple decades. Where? In the courts.
Right. That is their end run around the democratic process, because so often you have these really controversial issues. Instead of letting those compromises work themselves out in the legal sphere, they can't get what they want, or they can't get 100% of what they want from Congress. And so they're like, well, thanks, we'll take it from here. They go to the courts, and the courts for decades have been all too willing to just say, okay, sure, we'll go with that. And that includes a lot of Republican appointees too, because for too long, even Republican presidents didn't have this, again, not conservative in a political sense, but judicially conservative approach. Right. That is the approach I wish we saw across the board, because it doesn't have to be tied to one political outcome or the other. And at the end of the day, that's what would really take down the controversies of these nominations a notch. Justice Scalia said, if you have people acting like politicians, then their selection process is going to look political. If we knew that they really were going to go up there and read the law and read the Constitution and leave it there, you wouldn't have to have the Kavanaugh confirmation. You wouldn't have to say, hey, if you care about this issue or that issue, it's the Supreme Court this year. No, it'd be your elected representatives that would go there. Then we could chill out on the judicial nomination front and not have to have these crises going on every time there's a new Supreme Court vacancy.
That's the truth. Just quick, tell us a bit about your book, because it's a very good book and it's a timely book, and I think it helps explain a lot of what we saw when we were watching this confirmation hearing. It stunk to high heaven, but you guys really get in and explain what was what.
Yeah, Molly Hemingway and I wrote Justice on Trial because we knew that in 2018 it wasn't just Brett Kavanaugh on trial, it was the whole notion of justice. It was due process, the rule of law. Are you willing to throw all that out just because you don't like the identity of the person who's nominating or being nominated here? And it was important to get down the actual facts. I clerked for Justice Thomas in the Supreme Court. I saw what has happened after his confirmation hearing. They didn't just say, well, we did everything we could, we dragged him through the mud, but he got confirmed, so we're going to all pack up and go home. Nope, there was a decades-long, and it still continues, a campaign to rewrite history, to, in academia, in the media, on HBO and their movie. I mean, they're trying to rewrite this story that at the time, 2/3 of Americans believed Justice Thomas. They 2-1 said, nope, he's got it right. If we don't know history, we're condemned to repeat it. So we wanted to get the history down. We talked to more than 100 people for this book. We talked to the president, the vice president. We talked to members of the Supreme Court, the Senate, all the way down to try to get the fullest picture and to do it first so that people would understand the real story. And I think it's been helpful in pushing back on people who want to rewrite the story. And I think it's crucial because the next time there's a vacancy, they can't think that this same playbook is going to work again, or it's going to be horrible for our system. So, we don't want justice to be on trial yet again.
Well said. How can people follow the work that you do at the Judicial Crisis Center, and how can they get a copy of your book?
Yeah, so our book, Justice on Trial, is on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. You can follow me on Twitter at JCN Severino. And my work is also at National Review Online's Bench Memos blog. I try to keep a regular update on what's going on in the courts. And Judicial Crisis Network is also at judicialnetwork.com and tweeting at Judicial Network.
Excellent. Well, this is awesome. I thank you so much for spending some time with us. I do want to remind our listeners that we will be right back, but for now, we're coming to you from the Super Bowl of Conservatism, CPAC, and we will have lots more. There is more going on here than you can possibly imagine.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare.
Call 800-209-5173.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day and injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call now and learn how to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. We're coming to you from our radio studio networks here at CPAC. And of course, you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California, Pelosi Country, Sacramento, San Francisco, Wine Country, Redding, and now in Carson City, Reno, and Lake Tahoe, Nevada. You can also get rebroadcasts of our show at ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. I'm Sharron Engel, and I'm here with our next guest here at CPAC, and her name is Andi Buerger, and we're going to be talking about a topic that is so close to us these days, and that is human trafficking. Andi Buerger, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you so much, Sharron. I'm so privileged to be here and to share some information with your listeners and watchers.
All right, let's start with the information then. You do have a place where they can go to get information, so yes. Let's start there, and then we'll just kind of go deeper.
Okay, sounds great. Well, first of all, I'm executive director for Beulah's Place, which is my nonprofit. They can go to beulahsplace.org, which is BEULAHS place.org. We have hotline numbers, we have information. If they want to donate, they can. If they just want to find out a little bit more about what we do to rescue at-risk homeless teens from trafficking and criminal predators, that's a good place to start.
Well, and I'm thinking of a good place to start is maybe your hometown. You know, we see kids on the street kind of all the time. It seems like you're driving along and you'll say, what is that kid doing standing there? Why aren't they in school? Or what's going on? Or they look kind of lost, or they look like they... I don't know, like they may need help, but they also look a little tough. And so you're not sure whether they're really wanting your help, or if, you don't know how to approach them. Is there an approach? Are they really, should we approach them? Should we be concerned?
Well, we should always be concerned about kids that are not where we think they should be. But you've got a lot of questions. I'm going to start with a lot of answers. Yeah, sure. So you're right. There are kids on the street. They're on the corners. They're on the freeway off-ramps. They're in camps. They're wherever. A lot of them, the majority, Sharron, really don't choose that life. There are some that do, absolutely. They think it's, some kind of whatever to couch surf and to just live that life. But the kids we rescue, they chose the streets because the streets were safer than what they were running from. Now, whether it was criminal predators or sexual predators or drug traffickers or a situation they couldn't get out of without help and didn't feel they have hope. And you're right, they need the help, but they're going to be a little bit tough on the exterior, which may to some people look like rebellion, but it's not. They're more scared of you than you are of them. And can some be dangerous? Of course, anybody can be dangerous. But for the most part, the real runaway, the one running from pain, hurt, torture, abuse, they just want somebody that will help them in a safe way. Now, should we stop every time on every corner and help these kids? What I tell people, first of all, if you're faith-based, pray. If you're not, that's okay too, but go ahead and at least have some food like granola bars or a bottle of water. And if you feel like it's safe, then go ahead and offer. And if they're hungry or thirsty, they're going to take that. They may not trust you, but they'll take the food, right, if they're hungry. So the other thing you can do is just have your local numbers, like where your local teen shelter, if there is one, or homeless shelter. What's the local non-emergency law enforcement number that you could call and say, look, I saw a couple of kids, they didn't look like they'd eaten, they look like they're lost. Is there anyone there that can help? Very, very non-intrusive, it doesn't stress anybody out to do it, right?
Right. Now, Andi, you speak from experience. This is not just, I think this is what we should do, or I think this is what this problem's about. You speak from some personal experience.
I do. I know it's hard for listeners to hear this, but before there was a term human trafficking in the 60s, 70s, we didn't even talk about child abuse. I was trafficked by my immediate family members and extended family members from 6 months old to 17 years old. There was no place to go. And so by the time I was 5, the physical abuse, the sexual torture, all those things that was happening was so great that was my first attempt at suicide. So I was a 5-year-old and I went down to the curb of my house and I was waiting for a car to be coming by fast enough to jump in front of, because I felt like I'd rather be dead than go back into that house again. And in that moment for me, God interceded. For other people it might be something else, but for me, I looked up at that blue sky and I thought, wow, it's so big. I wonder how far it goes, and is there somebody bigger than the people hurting me? And so I progressed. It was a hard life, but by the time I was 17, that was the last time my birth mother tried to kill me, unsuccessfully. But I moved on, went to college, went to law school, married somebody not so good for me, but it's not unexpected if you marry an abuser, if you've been abused. I just didn't see the signs. And then I was blessed many years later to marry my husband, and we'll be celebrating 20 years in June, which I'm really excited about. Thank you. And we started Beulah's Place kind of as a solution in our town, because what we do is we rescue these kids, whether they come to us or they're referred to us. We put them in a safe house system, which is a host family. So if they're in your home for that 3 or 4 month period of time that we need them to be, then your rules are their rules. And I work with them every day, or one of our volunteers, until they're ready to reintegrate to community. They will have finished high school. They will have jobs. They will know how to take care of themselves in a stable way, but they're still going to have to fight the emotional and the trauma from what has happened to them.
Now, when we speak of trafficking, you say trafficked from 6 months to 17 years. You were trafficked. That is a degree of sales in there. Talk about just how that works. How does a family do that with a child? Is it their intent? Was that intent for you to even be born?
Well, I have been told that when my birth mother was pregnant with me, she did not want me. She was under a lot of stress, and she almost lost me a couple of times. And so, at that time, I can't really speak to that. The only reason I know that they violated me from 6 months is because in therapy, counseling, the different things that they can do, that's when the first occurrences were. And there were a couple witnesses that they never saw me the first year of my life, because I'd be locked up in a room with a bunch of female cousins and other people, and who knew, what they were. But here's the other thing. Again, in the 60s and 70s, there wasn't a money factor. If they had known about it, it probably would have been worse. But my birth mother was the primary sexual predator, and followed by other males and females. And I think what happened was it was just easy in the home to do whatever they wanted to do. But here's my view, Sharron. If you, as an adult, take a child or a minor of any age to somebody's house or the piano teacher's house or wherever, and you know what's going to happen to them, you've transported them there. That's trafficking without money. Trafficking is either fueled by greed or by money. We hear about the money, but sometimes perversion or greed. We know that perversion isn't sexy in the movies, so it's greed that you see. But it also can be fueled by perversion, and that's what happened to me.
Well, and we've seen some perversion here in the news lately with Jeffrey Epstein and also with Harvey Weinstein. So talk a little bit about these high-profile things and how that affects the whole issue of human trafficking. Is it good to bring that kind of notoriety to play, or has it just driven it farther underground?
I do believe, I don't know that there's anything good you can say, but if we could say it, I believe that the awareness, suddenly people, at least for a short period of time, were like, oh my gosh, right? And how awful of those people. But here's the other part. They didn't do it alone. Somebody always knew. Somebody was helping, and those people are just as culpable for the acts and the crimes against all of those children, that all the girls, all the teens, every single one that was violated and their lives literally ruined. There were many, many hands in that pot. So did the notoriety, bringing them out, help? Sure. But did letting Epstein go loose the first time, and get house arrest for these hideous crimes? We need to do a better job of prosecuting and locking them up. After that, we need to do a much better job of addressing the real needs of the victims: stabilization, mental health care, all the kinds of things that they should have, because they will never be normal the way they were before those things happened. They can create a new normal like I did and have healthy relationships and be transformed. But even today, at almost 60, I still see old issues and new faces and places, and I have learned how to take care of that, but not every victim is so lucky.
We're out of time.
Oh my goodness.
And I know it goes so fast when you're talking about something especially as important as this. I want you to tell our audience how they can follow you, friend you, connect with you, and really become a part of the solution themselves.
Awesome. They can do that on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those social media sites. We're Beulah's Place on those sites. The other thing they can do is my book, A Fragile Thread of Hope, One Survivor's Quest to Rescue, is on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle. And the great thing is I'm giving back 45% of those proceeds to victims of child sex abuse and child abuse. So we hope that if somebody out there, maybe they're not quite sure what to do, buy a book, or buy a book for a friend, or buy a book just because somebody needs to be inspired. There's a little bit of my story and four of the stories of the kids we've rescued.
Thank you so much, Andi Buerger, for being here on Conservative Commandos radio show with us. Take care. God bless.
Thank you, Sharron. God bless you as well.
Thank you. We are coming to you live from CPAC.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline Refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans, and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline Refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty?
We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear, the debt suckers are here!
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94.
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel, and of course, now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California, San Francisco, Sacramento, Marin, Redding, and we've finally made it over the Sierras to Reno, Carson City, and Lake Tahoe, Nevada. We can also be heard on our rebroadcasts at our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. We're here at CPAC, and we've got our next guest with us, and I'm really pleased to introduce you to Dr. Tom Barrett.
That's right.
Dr. Tom Barrett, who is with conservativetruth.org.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's a Marine. We're going to talk about patriotism, we're going to talk about education, and we're going to talk about the next generation, which is so important. So welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show, Dr. Tom Barrett.
Thank you very much, Sharron. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here with you.
Well, it's an honor to have you with us. First, let's talk about your Marine Corps involvement and what you did yesterday. I want to talk about that.
Sure. Well, I joined the Marine Corps in 1966, right out of high school during the Vietnam War. And a lot of my schoolmates were running off to Canada to avoid the draft. But I was raised in a military family. My dad was Inspector General of the Air Force, and I wanted to do my duty, but I wanted to be in the best branch. So obviously, that's the Marine Corps. So I went through 8 weeks of hell. Now it's 12 weeks, but they were trying to crank out guys to go to Vietnam very quickly. So it was 8 weeks of boot camp, and every day I wondered if I was going to wake up alive the next day. They pushed and pushed and pushed us, but they wanted to make sure that we were ready to face anything in combat. After I graduated boot camp, I found the Marine Corps wasn't so bad at all, but during that time it was pretty tough. So I was in for 3 years, and since then I've served the nation in a number of different ways. I've been a firefighter paramedic, I've been a deputy sheriff, and so on. But day before yesterday, we did go to the National Marine Corps Museum, and I would strongly encourage anybody to go to that museum. I'm one of the most patriotic people I know, but just being there for a day kicked up my patriotism a whole nother notch. All right, it was wonderful. So it's free to go to, and it's just amazing. All the docents are Marines. Not former Marines, even though some of them are in their 70s. And the stories they tell, it's just highly recommended.
Well, I don't think anyone can think of Marines without thinking of Iwo Jima and the raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. And I don't think that there's anyone in our generation who hasn't heard the stories of bravery coming out of World War II. Nor is there anyone in our generation that didn't suffer during Vietnam. They say that this generation is living through a terrible time, and they are. I mean, we were kind of in the endless war now in Iraq and Afghanistan, lots of Marines going there. But it's not like we can't sympathize with that, because certainly with Vietnam, we thought it was the endless war when we were in it, and there was this backlash, this protest against servicemen. When you came home, you didn't wear your uniform.
Right. We'd come into the airports and they'd spit on us, call us baby killers. And so that's one of the things I talk about. I appreciate today we honor our servicemen. We tell them, thank you for your service. But I think part of the problem was the government's problem. They would not allow us to win that war. I had many friends who came back and told stories about coming under fire, and they had to radio back to headquarters to some pencil neck geek that is not there and get permission to return fire. We could have gone and just carpet bombed Hanoi and ended the war in a matter of weeks. We could have bombed Hanoi Harbor and blocked all shipping and supplies. It seemed like the government didn't want to win the war. For whatever reason, I can't tell you. But, we got the power. A little country like that, we could have won that war in a matter of months. It didn't have to drag on for years.
We had a guest on who talked about the military cabal, or that wasn't exactly the word he used.
Military-industrial complex.
See, that's the one.
That's a phrase invented by Eisenhower.
And he talked about that it's really a commercial enterprise in a lot of ways, because war is their bread and butter, and if we're not at war, they don't get the money, and so that's what creates the endless war. And that's why Trump is having such a difficult time winding this war down, even though that's the promise that he's made. And we see him even today making a treaty with the Taliban so that we can get out of Afghanistan. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, unfortunately, war is good for the economy. I'm a professor in a Bible college. I teach biblical economics, and I've studied economics all the way back to Roman times. And money is extremely important. Nations, all the way back to Rome, learned how to hyperinflate the money, and they didn't even have a printing press. They just took the Roman denarii, which were 94% silver. When they came through the treasury, they would melt them down and add lead to them. That's where we get that word debasement of our money from. Lead is a base metal. And over a period of 218 years, it went from 94% silver to 1% silver to finance all of Rome's campaigns to take over the world. So skip forward to modern times. Every time we've had a war, it's been good for the economy. I remember when we invaded Kuwait. I do a lot of writing at Conservative Truth. I've written well over 1,000 articles in the last 20 years. And I wrote that when we first went into Kuwait, because they've been talking about it for months, the market's going to dip out of fear. But then it's going to recover and it's going to go stronger than ever. And that's exactly what happened. For 2 days, the market was down. And then in the next few weeks, it rose 20% higher than it had been before. So the market is part emotional. And so when fearful things happen, people like sell stocks and buy gold. But then once things settle down and we find it's not going to really affect us, it's just going to affect the people over there. And it's going to be good for the economy. Stocks are going to go up. So we need to have honest politicians who are public servants. Most of the people we have in Washington are not there to serve. They're there to line their own pockets. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. So we need to have people that are willing to go with the Constitution no matter what. I've talked to a lot of people who are running for elective office here at CPAC, and I have one little test question I ask them. I say, what is your opinion of the 3 co-equal branches of government? And they give me answers like, well, it's supposed to be equal, but Congress has been taking over power from the president, stuff like that. I said, wrong answer. You know,
they're not equal at all and never were they?
Never were. Article 1 is the legislature. It's first because it's the most important. They have 16 enumerated powers. All right, for those that don't know what enumerated powers are, they're powers that Congress specifically gives to the federal government. The executive branch, the president, has 8 enumerated powers. That's Article 2. So he's in second position and half the enumerated powers. The judiciary is number 3. They only have 4 enumerated powers. And then the Constitution says all other rights and powers are given to the states and the people. Okay, so it's not a matter of one branch taking power from another. Each branch is supposed to do their job. And it's Congress's job to provide oversight to the White House. Now, when Obama was president, we were happy to see him writing out executive orders right and left and so on. Now that Mr. Trump is president, we're cheering that on. And so this politician I was talking to, he said, yeah, but we have to. They did bad things then, so we have to do bad things to equal and balance things out. I said, no, we don't. What we have to do is follow the Constitution. He said, well, once we get things straightened out, then we can go back and follow the Constitution. I said, I would never vote for you. Okay, sorry to say that, but
you don't understand the Constitution. You're right. It's hard for us out here in the heartland to watch them shy away from their role in government. Like you said, they have some powers that they should be exercising, and yet they're allowing other branches to take their power so that they don't have to be responsible. We're watching an irresponsible Congress is the way I feel about it. How do you feel?
Well, if one party says the moon is in the sky, the other's going to say it's not there, it's an illusion. We're so broken that we have to oppose everything the other party does. Now, I fully agree. You know, we used to say that we had the party of big government, the party of small government. Today, that doesn't exist anymore. we have the party of big government and the party of bigger government. And both parties are pushing the debt higher and higher and higher. Obama actually doubled the national debt. It was $10 trillion when he came in office. He added $10 trillion to it in 8 years. That's more than the 40-some presidents before him and the 220 years before he took office.
Well, we don't talk about it, but Trump has also increased the debt, and it isn't an issue because neither party can take that issue.
Yeah. Well, he didn't campaign on lowering the debt. I wish he had. But you're right. We're probably going to run $1 trillion deficits every year that Trump is in office, because there's two ways you can reduce debt. One is to spend less, and the other is to take in more revenues. Well, Trump has done the opposite of both. He's lowered taxes, which I certainly appreciate, and he's taken on some important projects like rebuilding the military that Obama decimated. So I'm not faulting him for doing either one of those things. But the cold, hard fact is that President Trump doesn't see debt as a problem. He's a businessman, and debt is a tool for businessmen. I teach biblical economics all over the world at conferences and so on. I've been the keynote speaker at the Kingdom Economics Summit a number of times. But we just have to get back to the Constitution. It's scary to see us, both parties, drifting so far from the Constitution. I wrote an article on Conservative Truth. As you know, I published a website for the last 20 years. We have about 250,000 readers. And General Jerry Boykin, you familiar with him? He wrote the foreword for my book, The Best of Conservative Truth. 100 of the best articles out of the 1,000 that I've written. And I couldn't pick. How do you pick your own stuff? So my editor picked him up, but there was one that I insisted had to be in there. It was called The Last Democrat. I like titles because it grabs people's attention. And I said, no, there are still Democrats. But what I'm talking about is the last Democrat to read the Constitution. Okay. You know,
that was Jefferson, wasn't it? I mean,
actually, it was probably FDR. Went and saw the little White House, and they had his bedroom set up exactly as it was when he was there, and on the table there was a Constitution. So I asked the guide, I said, is that the way it was? He said, yes. He read the Constitution every day.
But according to my granddad, he didn't follow it. You know, we're out of time, Dr. Tom Barrett. But I want you to tell our listeners how they can friend you, follow you, connect with you, get educated, because that's truly where your heart is education. We heard it throughout the interview. You were educating us, and I'm so glad to have had you here as a guest. So tell us how we can do that.
Well, thank you. The easiest way is to go to drtom.tv. Instead of .com, it's .tv. And it has 3 websites there. One is Conservative Truth. They can click on the icon and just go there and hit the subscribe button. Another is my business website, where I import ancient and medieval gold coins. I own the oldest coin in the world from Lydia, the Kingdom of Asia Minor. Beautiful thing. And then there is my ministry website, I guess you would call it, where we teach Christian financial concepts, and we teach people how to get out of debt, stay out of debt, how to teach their children about money and wealth, and basically I was looking for something, that's why I'm wiggling around. I wanted to show you something that's kind of cool.
Oh my goodness. What is this?
That is a 700-year-old handmade British noble. It was a circulated currency in Great Britain. And so I import these types of coins because I just love them. And I believe everybody should own some gold because, look, the markets are going to really crash. We're up to 30,000 now. It went down 4.5% in one day. These are all the warning signs. And as the market went down, gold went up. So that's something that everybody should look at. So all 3 of those are on drtom.tv. and they can subscribe to Conservative Truth, they can subscribe to Christian Financial Concepts, or they can contact us for information.
And they can get your book there?
Actually, yeah.
Yes.
And they can get information about how to protect what God has given them using precious metals.
Well, we're so grateful to you for doing this interview with us, Dr. Tom Barrett, and for, as we heard it first here on Conservative Commandos, telling us buy gold. Thank you for being our guest, and God bless.
It's been my pleasure.
And you are watching the Conservative Commandos radio show here on the AUN TV network. I'm Sharron Angle. Be sure to check out our rebroadcasts on CCRShow.com, CCRShow.com. If you have a guest that you would like to have on Conservative Commandos radio show or recommend to the show, do that by emailing us at Rick, R-I-C-K, Rick, that's for Rick Trader, our producer, Rick at ConservativeCommandosRadioShow.com. Rick at ConservativeCommandosRadioShow.com. We'll be right back here at CPAC after these messages.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline Refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline Refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty?
We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear, the debt suckers are here!
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
And welcome back to CPAC 2020. This is a very special edition of the Conservative Commandos radio show. We have a very special guest with us, a longtime friend of the Conservative Commandos, Congressman Jody Hice from the 10th Congressional District of Georgia. Congressman, welcome to Conservative Commandos.
Always great to be with you. Thank you so much for all you do.
Well, thank you, Congressman. You know, Congressman, there is so much going on. It's incredible. I've been doing this show for 12 years now, but after 2016, I almost thought, well, you're pushing 70 now. Maybe it's time for you to pass off into the sunset. And after all, we have the House, we have the Senate, we've just elected a Republican president. What can I talk about for the next 4 years? But it just seems like every day we wake up and there's something new and in the news. It's incredible, isn't it?
It really is. And listen, I just want to say thank you for not stepping down. We need you. We need your voice. We are in the fight of our life for this country. And the rise of socialism, I never thought I'd see the day where socialism is not only in the candidates who are running within the Democratic Party, but the movement behind it is growing. And we have work to do. Literally, we're in the fight of our life. We've got to stay in the battle.
When you talk about the work we need to do, what do we need to do we're not doing now?
Well, a couple of things come to mind right off the bat. You know, I'm a former pastor. I believe pulpits need to engage our culture. People need to pray for our country. I mean, just from that perspective, that's extremely important. I do not believe it's wise for us to leave God out of the equation. We need His help now more than ever. In addition to that, the reality on a day-to-day basis is that elections have enormous consequences.
Yes,
and right now is the time for people to engage the election process, get people registered, educate them on voting for candidates who will stand for and fight for the principles that have separated this country from every other nation in the world. And let's go out and win some elections. That's what changes policy at the end of the day, and that's what keeps us on the right path.
The old expression is all politics is local, and that it seems like there's so much focus being on the national races that a lot of people are forgetting the local races, the school board races, the municipal races, the county races, because they're kind of like the minor leagues for the major leagues of federal politics. How do you encourage a good person to get involved in this system?
Yeah, listen, great question. I tell people all the time that our system of government does not work without involvement of the people. And if someone will go to one of those school board meetings you're talking about, they will be shocked at how few people are there. Mm-hmm. And yet thousands of students are being impacted by the things that are being taught, but there may be fewer than half a dozen people attend a school board meeting or a city council meeting or county commission meeting. All of these are important to step up to the plate and get engaged in, like you said, from the most local politics all the way up to the federal.
When we talk about local politics, we reported on a story on the Conservative Commandos radio and TV show about a month ago. The Bladen County Board of Elections in Bladen County, North Carolina, had a meeting. And at the meeting, there are 5 board members, 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. The 2 Republicans asked to add to the agenda the Pledge of Allegiance. The 3 Democrats objected to it. They voted it down. One of the audience stood up and started the Pledge of Allegiance, to which the entire audience stood up and the 2 Republican boards stood up. The 3 Democrats maintained their seat.
Wow.
And then after the election, the head of the Board of Elections said that in future meetings, if somebody stood up and said the Pledge of Allegiance, they would be arrested.
Wow.
And this is in the United States of America.
Hey, listen, I think I would be the first one to start the pledge at the next meeting, because that is a battle I'd love to have all day long, and they would lose all day long on that. But this is the type of thing that we're seeing all across the country. When I talk about us being in the fight of our life, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And it's not just here in Washington. People need to understand that as corrupt and as bad as things are in Washington, all Washington is a reflection of local districts that are represented all across this country. And so those districts are comprised of situations just like you just described in North Carolina. That is where we've got to engage it from the closest place at our homes and move up from there.
But what about this idea that at a public meeting, Board of Elections, there are people that are refusing to say the pledge, stand for the pledge, and then threatening people who do?
It's unbelievable. It is absolutely remarkable. And we are seeing instances like this all over the place. And it's un-American. It just seems like we're watching our country being run over by people who do not share the values and the principles upon which this country was established. We've got to replace people like that. And that's why elections matter enormously.
Let's talk about elections. Let's talk about 2020. We have a Republican president, Donald Trump, that we need to get reelected. We need to regain the House and maintain the Senate. I see that Donald Trump, even though he's been fought tooth and nail by members on both parties, has been able to do some really amazing things, especially with judicial nominations and appointments.
Yeah, it's been absolutely remarkable. The relentless attacks, the daily attacks, the severe attacks that this president, his family, his cabinet, those around him have endured has been remarkable, and yet he has a backbone of steel.
Yep.
He is focused. He is not a typical politician. It has been remarkable what he has been able to accomplish in spite of the pressure, and I believe that we are going to see him not only win, I think it's going to be a huge statement of a victory for the president in this next election.
When you go back to the 10th District and talk to your constituents, what are they asking you? What are they telling you? What are their concerns?
Well, I mean, it varies. Probably the top issues would be things like health care, our national debt, securing the border, those type of things I hear consistently all across the border. But when it comes to some of the issues that we're talking about right now, people want to see heads roll. People see what happened with the false Russian collusion ordeal and all this type of things, and the corruption. They want to see people held accountable and for there to be serious consequences. And unfortunately, in the minority right now, we don't have a whole lot of say-so in that. Fortunately, there are some investigations taking place that will help us in that regard. But there again, we need to take back the House in this next election, and we'll be able to move forward.
It must be very frustrating for you as a Republican congressman to witness what went on in the House of Representatives during the impeachment hearings leading up to the trial, that the Schumer, Pelosi, Nadler crowd really seemed to control it with an iron fist and not have much Republicans say, bring in witnesses.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw it every day. It was the most corrupt thing that I've ever witnessed. It was frightening to see how one-sided. We as Republicans were not allowed one single witness, and I was in those hearings, in those depositions. We had 0 witnesses. Adam Schiff brought forth 17 on his side. We had 0. The president was not able to defend himself. It was the most unfair, unjust movement I've ever witnessed in my life, and hopefully we're going to be able to again see the Senate rejected it, and that is the beginning, I believe, of what could be some of those individuals, Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, Nancy Pelosi, and others facing some consequences.
Well, when it did go to the Senate, thank God it was voted down, but I kind of would have liked the president to have an opportunity
Absolutely.
To give his side of the story, wouldn't you?
I would, and I believe that is going to come out with time, but yeah, the president was charged and was assumed guilty simply on the basis of allegations. He never had a right to due process, which is un-American. It should never happen to anyone, let alone the president.
Congressman Jody Hice, just one more question before you go. What are you advocating for now?
Well, I mean, right now, obviously, as we come into an
and I
election
ask you
year,
that question because I get your press releases every day, and your staff does a terrific job.
They do a
letting
fantastic
people
job.
like me know, not just in the media, but the citizen out there. But because even though you do represent the 10th Congressional District of Georgia, when you vote,
we're on a broader scale.
When you vote for every one of us in America.
Yeah, right now, I mean, in all honesty, there are things that we would like to move forward. They're going nowhere right now in the minority. The majority party dictates everything that even comes to the floor for a vote. So our focus right now is to stop the radical left from moving forward and advancing their agenda. We're using every parliamentary tool that we have available, everything we can to throw a wrench in the situation to either slow it down or stop it altogether. And that applies on the floor of the House of Representatives as well as in hearing rooms where bills are being marked up and so forth. And frankly, we've been pretty successful. We're strongly behind the president. We're defending him and trying to push forward his agenda. And fortunately, he has the backbone of steel that is enabling us to be some wind behind the sails. So we're going to continue doing those things.
Do you have time for one more question? One? Got to wrap. Okay, well,
sorry. They keep me on track.
They do, and they do a great job in it, and we'll have to continue this on future interviews with
Always
you. But
great
I
to
want
be
to
with
thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you so much. God bless
for
you.
joining us. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the work of the American people.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show coming to you from CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington, D.C. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare.
Call 800-209-5173.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day and injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call now and learn how to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show, coming to you from CPAC. And of course, you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California and Nevada. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, go to our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. And as our producer, Rick Trader, always says, the hallmark of our show is our guests, and I have a great guest I want to introduce to you. He is Ted Harvey, who is the chairman of Committee to Defend the President. And they're not just out there saying, send us some money. They're actually defending the president with some ads. These are incredible ads. Talk about this.
Well, we've been around for a long time. We actually started our PAC as the Stop Hillary PAC back in 2013, before Hillary even announced her candidacy, and then when Trump won, we changed the name of our PAC to the Committee to Defend the President, and it has grown to be one of the largest, if not the largest, pro-Trump PAC out there. That is defending the president and doing everything we can to fight back against the left and the media and Nancy Pelosi. And we're trying to remind the American people of just the record of Joe Biden and the Obama administration, because they were the ones that were doing everything they could to bring down the Trump administration and discredit the election, and engage the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA in trying to bring down this president. And so we've been going after Biden since October, when the whole Ukraine impeachment thing started. We were running ads saying, investigate the Bidens when it comes to the Ukraine. And so that got a lot of publicity and ticked off a lot of Democrats. And so then in the Nevada election, the primary for the Democrats, we ran a Spanish-speaking commercial with English subtitles, reminding the voters of Nevada just how bad the record is of the Obama-Biden administration and how they were the ones that actually put kids in cages. That was their policy that the Trump administration continued. It wasn't started under Trump. And that created a lot of upheaval. And then this week, we started running a commercial in South Carolina using Obama's voice, Obama reading from his book about how the Democrats, throughout the history of the Democrat Party, have been pandering to the African American vote, doing everything they could to pay lip service to the African American constituency just to get their vote. But then once they win the office, they don't do anything to help the African Americans, and especially Biden, who has a history of supporting segregationists. He has a history of blaming African American families for the breakdown of their communities. He's the author and the sponsor of the bills that disproportionately put African Americans in prison. And this ad finally got President Obama to get out of the foxhole and start saying something about the Democrat primary, because to this point, he hasn't said one word about who he's supporting, who he's against. He hasn't said anything. But when our committee starts having this impact that we had in Nevada, where you got Bernie Sanders to win, and then you get our ads in South Carolina that's really going after the African American constituency, which is the #1 voting bloc in South Carolina, I think that pushed him over the edge. And he finally made a statement and came after our PAC, sent a cease and desist letter to us telling us to stop using the commercial. And we're not going to stop using the commercial. But when Obama finally came out of the foxhole and said this, the media exploded. Google Committee to Defend the President and Obama, and every single TV station, every single media outlet on the internet is literally melting down over this commercial and freaking out. And we're doubling down. We're sending text messages and emails to 38,000 registered Democrat African American voters today, telling them, watch this commercial and what a terrible record the Democrats have when it comes to pandering to the African American vote.
Well, let's watch that commercial right now.
Yes, please do.
Joe Biden promised to help our community. It was a lie. Here's President Obama.
Plantation politics. Black people in the worst jobs, the worst housing, police brutality rampant. But when the so-called black committeemen came around election time, we'd all line up and vote the straight Democratic ticket. Sell our souls for a Christmas turkey.
Enough. Joe Biden won't represent us, defend us, or help us. Don't believe Biden's empty promises. The Committee to Defend the President paid for and is responsible for the content of this message.
Corruption and cover-up, shady dealings with foreign governments, withholding aid, blackmailing U.S. allies for political gain. Joe Biden. When his son's company was investigated for corruption, Joe Biden used his office to crush the case. Biden even bragged about it.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
It's time to drain the swamp. Send quid pro Joe Biden into retirement. The Committee to Defend the President paid for and is responsible for the content of this message. ISIS terrorized the world. They murdered abroad and at home. All of the death orchestrated by international terrorist al-Baghdadi. The world demanded justice, and Donald Trump delivered.
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. The world is now a much safer place.
Justice served. America protected. Re-elect President Trump. The Committee to Defend the President paid for and is responsible for the content of this message.
Okay, we saw a great commercial. We saw two great commercials. In fact, we saw the one that you ran in Nevada. We saw the one that you're running in South Carolina. You said it seems like you're looking at hitting the top guy first. So you're going after Biden, but now we see Biden's numbers, they're just going down. Bernie Sanders seems to be the heir apparent here. You got some good things for Bernie?
Well, I'm not sure that Biden is at the top. He lost in Ohio, lost in Rhode Island. He lost to New Hampshire, lost in Nevada, and he is supposed to be winning in South Carolina. But I think it's going to be close in South Carolina. I think there's a good chance he could lose. So I think Bernie right now is in the lead. But honestly, I've been saying since the very first day that Bloomberg got in the race that Bloomberg would win the nomination for the Democrat Party, because Biden, Obama, or Biden, or Bernie Sanders, or Buttigieg, or Elizabeth Warren, they don't have the money to go to all of the states that they have to go to on Super Tuesday, and Bloomberg has been spending just on social media $1 million a day on social media in the Super Tuesday states.
Wow, that's good coverage, because that's pretty cheap media.
It is. And that message is going directly into the people's households that he knows are Democrats that will be voting on the primaries. So I think he's going to do much better than people think. And as this goes further along into the primary, I think he's going to win. And if it's a win-win for us. If Bernie Sanders wins, they're going to lose the White House, they're going to lose the House, they're going to lose the Senate. But if Bloomberg wins, all of those Bernie Sanders people are going to be literally freaking out, and I don't believe they're going to come out and vote for Bloomberg or Trump, and Trump's going to sail into the White House again, and we'll probably take back the House as well. So it's a win-win regardless of who wins.
You're predicting Bernie voters walk away?
I do. If Bernie is not the nominee, I think that it might be even worse than just walking away. I think if you follow the Project Veritas videos, when they were interviewing actual Bernie Sanders staffers, not just volunteers, but staffers, they said if he doesn't win the nomination, there will be violence on the streets at the Democrat convention. And that's disconcerting to me. It should be disconcerting to everybody that a Democrat potential nominee has staffers that are willing to burn down a town simply because he doesn't get the nomination. I think that should be disconcerting to Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliateds across the board.
Well, and certainly to law enforcement that has to be there at that convention.
Yes.
Let's just take a different scenario. We have a guest that comes on. He's a great poller. He prognosticates. In fact, he predicted Trump's win back in 2015 before Trump was really even a known candidate. He had just announced and said, I want to do this, and everybody's going to say, no, not that guy. He's a clown, whatever.
Right.
And so they were just really not there. But this fellow, Dr. Gerard Lamero, said, no, he's the winner. He's going to win. So we've taken his prognostications fairly seriously, because he taps into the heartland and says, what are you really thinking? You guys vote. You don't necessarily go by the debate. You don't necessarily go by the commercials. You vote. So he said Michelle Obama. And he said what it will be is an outroar after the first vote, when they can't get a candidate, that everybody's free to vote for whomever, and they will draft her in. And that's why Obama has withheld his endorsement for candidates. That is why he has withheld the not the publication, but the actual presenting to the public of his new book. She has also a new published book, but she's holding back on her publication as well. What do you think about that? And does she have a chance against Trump? What's the deal? He was saying she's the more moderate candidate.
Well, she's not. There's a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
There's the radical, off the edge socialist radicals that Bernie Sanders is, and then there's everybody else that's far left of the rest of the country, but they're not Bernie Sanders. So there's a spectrum. I think that could be a very legitimate scenario. I said for a year, when all of the Democrat candidates were in, that the nominee of the Democrat Party has yet to announce their candidacy. But then when Bloomberg got in, and it is so late in the process, I said, okay, that's the one that I've been talking about that's going to be the nominee, rather than the others who had already jumped in. But I think that could be a good scenario. But I also said 2 weeks ago that Bloomberg will nominate Hillary Clinton to be his running mate.
Oh, wow.
Because he's got the billions of dollars, and then she has a base
following,
that won the majority of the votes in the last election cycle. So she would do anything to be the first female vice president. And I think that could be a scenario as well. And then interestingly enough, the very next day, the Drudge Report came out and said that he was considering Clinton. So I think that anybody that's currently in the field right now, there's no way they can win, except for Bloomberg, if he were to get Hillary Clinton on there. But I think going into the convention, it's going to be chaos. And I could see them saying, we've got to get somebody else in. But you can't, I don't care if it was Clinton, I don't care if it was Michelle Obama. The Democrat Party is in such disarray that it is going to be chaos for them going into the general election. And Trump is such a successful presidency, despite the hearings, despite the Democrats doing everything they possibly could to destroy him. He is so successful that there's no way he's going to lose the next election, in my opinion.
Well, I think they're going to give it their best shot.
No, obviously.
And I guess that's why you're not sitting back and saying, well, we don't have to do anything because he's got this in the bag. And thank you for being here with us at CPAC on Conservative Commandos radio show, and of course with the AUN TV network. We'll be right back with our next guest, so stay tuned.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare.
Call 800-209-5173.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts. but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day and injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call now and learn how to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel, and we are also coming to you from the AUN TV network, and you can see and hear a rebroadcast of this show on our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. If you have a guest that you would like to see on Conservative Commandos Radio, or you want to recommend to us, go to Rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. He takes all of his emails. We'd love to have your suggestions, and it's my honor and privilege to introduce our next guest, who is Dr. Dave Schneider, and he's going to be talking to us about a new book he wrote. Dr. Dave, welcome to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Great to be here, and it's a great weekend.
It is. It is a great weekend. Now, you're a surgeon.
That's right. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and specifically I'm a shoulder and elbow orthopedic surgeon.
All right. Let's see. I don't have any of those, so I can't get any kind of advice from you, so I won't ask for advice.
Of course, all it takes is me mentioning that, and people start saying, hey, by the way, I have it on. I'm doing shoulder exams all over the place.
That's why I said I don't have that issue, so I won't have you do that. I think that we almost expect that from our doctor friends, don't we, that a little free advice would be nice.
Right. And then people feel all apologetic, and I say, look, I'm so used to it 20 years in. Get over here.
Get over here and let me do this.
Right.
You know, you've written a great book. It's called The Invention of Surgery. Now, I don't even think about surgery being invented. I guess I think about it as something that we've always had. It just kind of happened, and that it evolved. You know, as we had wars, there were great strides made in surgery, and that's really how we've developed it over the years, is through wars. But maybe I'm completely out there in left field wrong. It was invented.
I think 100% of people feel this way. I know I'm a healthcare consumer myself, my wife and kids and I, and it kind of is easy just to start thinking that it's always kind of been this way. You know, it's similar to the fact that we think, heaven forbid, if you were at home and someone started having a heart attack, that you could call 911 and someone would be at your house really rapidly. And then when you went to the hospital, there'd be a crew of people waiting there to take care of you and to rush you to the cardiac cath lab and open up your coronary arteries and put a stent in, and that you'd be fine. We make this assumption all over this great country of ours, and it'd be accurate. That assumption would be accurate, but how in the world did we get here? Compare, say, President Eisenhower. In the 1950s, he was on a trip in Colorado and had a massive heart attack. The President of the United States, the leader of the free world, was treated with bed rest and wheeled around in a wicker wheelchair for 6 weeks in Colorado. There was no such thing as open heart surgery to deal with his issue, a heart attack, because cardiac bypass surgery wasn't invented yet. Yes. And you couldn't figure out which coronary artery was blocked. So there was not such a thing as coronary stenting. That wasn't until the 1980s. You and I remember the 1980s.
Of course.
And if someone had a heart attack in 1980, you either had massive open heart surgery or you died. They couldn't put a stent in a blocked artery. Think about the communist leader, wannabe leader of the free world, Bernie Sanders. He had a heart attack 6 weeks ago, treated, stented, back on the road. That's shocking. That's amazing. And again, we take it all for granted. It just feels like it's always been here. So my book, The Invention of Surgery, tells the story of all the nut jobs and dreamers, the crazy people that all came together with their personal stories, not a boring narrative of this guy trained at Dartmouth and he went to Harvard and he was amazing and his dad was rich. No, it's the story of the people from the little towns who realized there had to be a better way. And those pioneers, those entrepreneurs, they're the ones that invented surgery.
Okay, I stand corrected. It's invented, it has evolved, and you have some really interesting chapters in your book that really, even if you're not interested in surgery per se, you're going to want to read at least these two chapters. So talk to me about those specifically.
I think the real point is that I weave together the stories that are for everyone. Mm-hmm. My wife is an artist. She's not a scientist. She's not a science geek. I, all along the way, read her the passages from every one of these chapters. She was my test audience.
Yes.
So the book is not for science nerds. It's for the people who want to say, wait, why is it they didn't believe in germs? Can you believe it? Even like saying during the American Civil War, no one believed in germs. That's why they didn't wash their hands. It's not that they just were lazy. It's not that they didn't pay attention. It's the fact they didn't know there were germs. So one of the chapters is on how the germ theory came about. And it's an amazing set of stories on the people that finally said, let's look at how it happens. And more than anyone else, it was Joseph Lister.
Really?
Who himself was a devout Christian. He was English. He went to Edinburgh, fell in love with a woman, and they stayed there in Edinburgh and then moved to Glasgow. And it was there, through very careful research, looking through his brand new microscope. The microscope had just gotten good enough because his dad, as a hobby, made it. And Joseph Lister, through years of hard work, proved that germs were real and that washing your hands made a difference. That's amazing.
That is.
And it's a story of grit and determination, great sadness, great triumph. And by the end of his career, the entire world had changed. Surgical operations were finally successful because people cleansed skin and washed their hands ahead of time. They weren't putting anything in bodies yet. That would take until the 1940s.
Yeah.
But for a good 75 years after Lister, you could actually hope to go to the hospital after
and survive it.
And survive for the first time ever. You could actually survive. Then another chapter talks about the huge breakthrough that happened in the 1940s and 1950s, where simultaneously were invented antibiotics. Can you believe that? The first dose of penicillin was not given until 1941.
Wow.
Most people would miss that question on a test. But in about a 15-year time period, polymers were invented, modern alloys were invented, and plastics and transistors.
Well,
all of that came together.
I have been amazed at how much plastics plays a part in our medical world. And the other thing is that our president is just saying, would you just wash your hands for this coronavirus? So everything you're saying is stuff that we know, and really it does work against disease and against infection.
Right.
But I guess the chapter I want to talk about is the healthcare one, because that's like everybody's wheelhouse now.
That chapter, first I talk about how health insurance was invented. It's an American invention. It was in Dallas, and it was a really smart guy that had to save a hospital in 1929. Times were good. Everyone was fat and happy, but the Baylor Hospital in Dallas was struggling. And he put together this plan. He realized if everyone just chipped in $1 a month, we promised to take care of you in our hospital free of charge. They just needed a little bit of upfront money. That plan was slated to go live on October 31, 1929. And he knew the success was dependent upon people feeling a little anxious that they could cover their bills. What happened 2 days before that day? Black Tuesday, the Wall Street crash. And all of a sudden everyone got scared. People subscribed in droves. It gave them that upfront money, $1 at a time, that the hospital needed to keep firm foundation. And it survived. And then all the other hospitals around the country said, wait, how did you guarantee stability for your hospital? One by one in different states. In Minnesota, they called their plan the Blue Plan. And as they're simple, they had a Blue Cross.
All right.
And so it became known as Blue Cross. Health insurance came about, and just about that time the FDA got better and realized we have to improve our devices, we have to make sure the scientists are putting in the right stuff. To this day, the FDA, sometimes the FDA is the biggest pain in the butt for me, but the FDA leads the way around the world for approving proper medical devices, and it's the great engine. It's a huge American success story. The medical device industry. We export. We don't import medical devices into our country. We export to China. Did you know that China, there's nothing put inside people's bodies that are made in China in America?
Well, that's good news for us.
It's a runaway American success story.
The not so good news is that we're out of time. And I want you to tell all of our audience how they can follow you, friend you, connect with you, buy your book.
Thank you, Sharron. Everything is Dr. Dave Schneider. So whether it's Instagram, Twitter, my Facebook page, it's at Dr. Dave Schneider. And the webpage is also drdaveschneider.com. And there they can find out more information. If you're used to ordering the book online, it's up and going. Kindle. The audiobook is read by an incredible narrator, the best in the world, Peter Noble. So you'll be able to listen to the book or read the book, and it'd be a great gift if someone has a grandkid or a kid who's thinking about PA school, nursing school, medical school, to really inspire them to learn where all these legends really formed what surgery is today.
And who's who, really,
right,
in the invention of surgery.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Dr. Dave Snyder, be sure and get that book, The Invention of Surgery by Dr. Dave Snyder.
Great.
And take care, and God bless.
All right. Thanks, Sharon. God bless.
And thank you for being here with us at CPAC on Conservative Commandos radio show, and of course with the AUN TV network.